I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. This is the Maiden Town Council regular meeting for Monday, January the 13th. Mayor Pro Tem Fuller Remmert's not going to be able to make it tonight, so instead we're going to have Cameron Ramsewer doing our invocation and pledge allegiance.
Let us bow our heads. Lord, thank you for this great day. Lord, thank you for being a blessing for Maiden. And Lord, just helping us. Lord, just bless those out in Los Angeles right now, God, in the fires and the tribulations that they are having right now, God. Lord, we just want to thank you right now. Thank you for everything that you have done for us. Thank you for everything that you have done for this town. Each individual for protecting us and keeping out everyone that works for us, our staff, our residents, everyone in the town. Just want to say thank you, Lord, for just blessing us. In Jesus Christ's name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So you have before you tonight's agenda. Anyone like to make a change, or if not, we'll need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So move.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. That motion is carried unanimous. Approval of the regular meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. That motion is carried unanimous. Consent agenda items, which consist of the finance officer's report for the month of December. The 2025 holiday schedule has been updated, and add position to pay classification study.
And that last one, Mayor, is simply a title change. We had an employee that completed some required training, so this title was not included in our most recent, so this is just an addition.
So I move we approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. That motion is carried unanimous. Citizens' requests and comments.
Say good morning. Good morning. I'm all messed up. You can tell I've been sleeping. I'm Miss Mary Holloway. Dropping the last name for a while, but it's Henry. I'd like to say good evening to the board and the mayor and our town manager. We done changed shipping gears, but I'm coming here concerning not dividing the town, but the whole town. I'm 76 years old, and it don't seem like nobody want to come out and talk about what you need, but I'm talking to the board tonight. Thank God for our public work guys, for all you done, the police department and all, and the firemen and planning board. But I'm talking to some things that our citizen wants to know, and I'm here to bring it forward to you. Now, the only concern we got so far is the chief took care of that. I'm concerned about our bikers and our skateboard, and I'm suggesting to you, if you look at our youth real serious in 2025. Thank you for the year that you done in 2023. But we got to look at our youth. I know you got all the stuff over there at the rec, but we got to do something about these skateboards and these bicycles. I think the kids need a place where they can ride and skateboard. I'm just bringing that to you tonight. You can look at it or whatever. Also, I'm bringing to you about, we are building so many houses, which is nice, the houses and things you're building here. But I'm looking at what we got to offer, and I'm gonna stay on this one concerning our library. Now, I've been over there several times, and I want to know if you can't say nothing now, because I know they're building a new fire department. What are your plans for the old fire department this coming year or put it in the budget already when they move out, or what you're gonna do with it. This is coming from the citizens. And I think suggesting from them, if you look at it, you can do, suggesting you can do a computer lab for the buildings you got. And we still missed out on the library. The building was donated for the library, but it was used up for something else. We're gonna get off there, but I still say you need a bigger place for that library. We need a computer lab. Now, you can say that Maiden is growing. It's not no little town no more. It's growing. We need to look at our future of our kids. And I don't want we to come back and say, well, you got Maiden Elementary, you got Maiden Middle School, you got the new high school. That's beside the point. All these kids gonna be coming in. We need a bigger space. We need to look at a computer library. If you're gonna use that space, when the fire departments, I don't know what your plans are, but I'm suggesting for the citizens, that's what they wanna know. Could it be used for a space for a computer lab? Something for the kids to go and work, and you can get Apple to donate some, if they wanna help out. They might be pouring a bunch of money into the town, but we need to do something for these kids. And I think a computer lab, along with the citizen, would be nice, but you need more space in the library. It is too small, and that's something I'm gonna really stay on 2025, where you can get it done or not. Also, we're looking at our streets more, and some of them got, they need more work. You can't do a lot when it's cold. Well, and I know we got water lines that's breaking, and I'm saying, I tell my citizens on that end and all over town, if you see water running down the street, get on the phone and call. They'll come and see what's going on. But we have to look at what's going on more in detail, what's going on in the town. And we are looking and praying that we get another grocery store outside of Food Line. I know business is business, and we just need something else. Thank God for the restaurants we got, but we just need to mostly look at things in general. But I'm talking to the town manager. We need to look at our kids riding these bikes and these skateboards, and we cannot beat up or send us to them because they ain't got nowhere to do it. And so I'm just saying, if you can look, and thank God for you all for taking care of the citizens and watching out for them with the food and stuff and the snow, and it's a blessing. But this year of 2025, I just hope some things we get concerned about and really look at it for the town. It's nice. We got the nice houses, and families come with them houses, and they just don't come here and want to ride around and look in a circle. They want to see something. Thank you.
Miss Mary, for clarification, and just for people watching, you're talking about the Klutz Library, correct? Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to make an assumption.
Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say?
Just a comment on the Klutz Library. Max, you can help me out on that, but I think that was a donation of $500,000 from the Klutz family, and they requested us to name it the library in that honor. It necessarily was not associated with a library as a library like we're thinking, but that's what they were wanting to name it. So that's the reason the library word is up there in that title, is because that's what the Klutz family wanted it named when they donated $500,000 to build it. And I think at one time we tried to possibly contact them and see if we could take that off of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I don't think they know who to talk to now.
I don't either.
The lady that
But
gave the
that's
money
been
passed away, so.
what, well, right after it was built, the misconception was it was a library. But that was just theoretically the name that the Klutz family wanted on it.
What was the stipulations around the building to be used for? What were there? I wasn't.
No, it's just theoretically just a name, and the town could use it as an education center and stuff like that, which is what it's been used for, but You know, the word library, I think was the misleading
Yeah.
portion of it.
I just didn't know if there were any stipulations back then. I mean, we'd probably have to look it up.
Not that I can,
Well, I think the reason why we didn't actually go with a library was because the county
the county
Yeah.
has the
has the
library.
library right across
Yeah,
the road.
and that's why I was clarifying which
Yeah.
library she was talking about.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure it was Klutz, because I know we can't do anything about the county library. That's a
Right.
county building.
Yep.
When they came here, the young man was sitting here, the understanding I got when I was here, I don't want you to think my mind is froze, but it's not. I think what you're saying, and I don't agree with what you're saying. Because it was a library, and I know what, not do what he's saying, but I remember what he was saying. He said he did not have one of the managers of the town sitting right there, because I hugged and kissed him. And he said they wouldn't have the hiring facility to do something like that. But the only thing I'm saying, if you're gonna do $1 million, and what I'm seeing over there now, that don't sit well with the community, but they won't speak up, but I'm speaking up tonight. And it can be a library, but you got it, it's several library, I would been them, I wish I could get in touch with them. I ain't no way in the world I'm gonna give the town that kind of money and not make it a library. And you got the office downstairs and all that, it could have been used for a library. It could have been used, but it's out now, but I'm stating the facts, I'm with the clear understanding. It could have been used as a library. Up top, and you could have had something downstairs for the senior citizens to go down there and be nice and read their book and drink their coffee.
Tracy, is that something that we can go back and pull?
I can try to find out if there, if there's any
Like-
stipulations to it or whatever.
I
I just
mean-
say there should be some paperwork,
Yeah,
because I
I
think
can
it's
just-
actually
I think it's worth
shows as a
revisiting.
virtual library.
I can do
So
some
now,
research.
tell me what you're using it for now. I'm speaking for the citizens. What are you using for, and I'm happy.
It's just the education center.
What kind of education?
So the electrical crews have training over there, monthly, if I'm not mistaken, and we have, other events too. It's not necessarily open all day long, but we do have training stuff that happens over there.
What time manager? I'm
Yes.
telling you now, they need to find them another place and read that stats.
Okay.
Thank you.
Since we're still in citizens' request comments, I'd just real quick like to thank Brian, and not only just Brian, the folks that put worst. We had a snowstorm, ice storm come through, they had the streets clean, parking lots were straight, and then on top of all that, they came in over here and had a water line break Saturday, and so Brian, just let those guys know we appreciate it. That's all I have, Mayor.
Anyone else? If not, we're gonna move right along. You have before you new business, 9A, which is ADW Fire Department update.
Hello, I'm Gina Moore with ADW Architects. We have a contract with the town of Maiden for the professional services for the fire department. A certain percentage of that fee is allocated to construction contract administration services, which would be kind of involved in the construction that's going on now. In our contract, that's allocated to be a 14-month period. And we invoice 1/14 of that fee every month for the 14-month duration. As everybody is probably very aware, it has gone past 14 months at this point in time. So ADW has reached out to the town to discuss additional services to extend that contract. What we have asked for is less than what we're invoicing right now. So it would be $7,500 a month. So we know that at this point in time, we have reduced kind of like scope of work. We still have meetings to attend and so forth like that, but there should be less submittals and so forth. So we're trying to keep the costs down lower for the town while we're doing this. So along those lines, we wanted to also discuss the delays that have been documented thus far with the project. So there's delays that have been approved, we've signed off on them through like a allowance authorization process. And then there's some that have been out there for a long time in discussions, but they haven't been officially approved or not approved. They've been verbally, kind of, all indications have been that they're approved, but they're not like documented thus far. So we're trying to document that right now. Your construction notice to proceed was issued in October of 2023, which would have set a substantial completion date for the project December 5th, 2024. Because of the approved and then the suggested delays, we're looking at a substantial completion moving into March. So of those delays, the ones that have been approved so far are a sewer and storm pipe conflict due to the storm pipe that needed to go in across the property, crossing a neighbor's sewer line, and leading to a different size pipe being required, okay? There have been several weather delays, and then there were some delays due to conflicting information provided by the special inspections company that the town hires to oversee construction versus the structural engineer of record. And then there's one out there that's been verbally discussed since the very beginning of the project, but hasn't been documented thus far. And that's the biggest one, which was a 42-day delay at the very beginning to acquire that storm pipe that needed to run across the property. So adding all of those delays up, it would push your new substantial completion date to March 19th of 2025. Since ADW recognized that during that first period of construction, there wasn't a lot going on site, but we were still doing meetings and submittals and answering RFIs and so forth. But during that first 3 months, we're only counting 2 of those 3 months as part of our covered CA services, because we know that there wasn't quite as much time involved from us. So we're pushing kind of our covered period out to cover that that month that we're saying we weren't as active doing construction administration services. And then we're doing the same for 24 days, which would cover kind of the structural interpretation issues that came to light during the process. So we were asking, that would push our covered CA service period out to the end of January. So we would be asking for additional services from the end of January to the end of the project. So that's
And
just
can you tell that
quick.
amount to the board?
It's $7,500 a month. So with the substantial completion date, adjusted substantial completion date of March 19th, that would mean that the town was responsible for the first close to 2 months of the additional services, which would be $15,000. And then you would still be responsible for the rest. We've lowered it to that amount to equate to liquidated damages that are in the contractor's construction contract. So if you decided to pursue liquidated damages, it would be a wash at that point in time, where them, kind of refunding you the liquidated damages would cover what we were asking for, so that you weren't having to come up with like another $3,600 a month on top of it to meet like our original fees, so.
So I have a few questions.
Okay.
I want to talk about the approval process, I think you said, of the delays, and you have delays out there pending approval.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you waiting on for those approvals?
So
Are they on us? Are they on you? Are they on the builder?
the approval of those delays is really on the town. So it was discussed very early on, and I believe that the decision was from a town component wanting to wait to become, before council when you could see some progress in the construction. And it kind of kept getting pushed along, so it was never, this initial delay was never officially kind of presented and approved. However, all indications were verbally given that the town was willing to work with the contractor so that it would ultimately be approved. So we haven't documented anything thus far on this 42 days. Now, other ones, there's like a PCO process and allowance authorization. So through some of those, some of these delays have been documented and approved.
Okay, so there's
Yes.
just the one outstanding, or is there more?
I mean, nothing officially, it's the one outstanding. Nothing's officially been done to document the weather delays because we were gonna do it all at the same time, and at this
Well,
point,
I mean,
it's
that's.
5 days,
A weather
yes.
delay's a weather delay. That's
Correct.
pretty cut and dry.
Correct.
But I'm looking at the other ones, and there was another one that you said was caused by one of our,
I think the 20-day inspection.
the inspection?
Yes, it's a discrepancy in the structural engineer of record. So there was a mistake during construction,
Okay,
okay? That the structural engineer of record flagged during one of their site visits.
Okay.
And said it needed to be corrected, okay? So the contractor proceeded to correct it. The special inspections company kind of said, oh yeah, that's fine. The way that you've corrected it is fine. The structural engineer of record came back and said, no, there's a difference between using grout and using concrete. So they disagreed with the correction being acceptable, which meant the contractor then had to go back and re-correct it.
for twice then.
They corrected it twice, yes. So they did not ask for any additional services, like money on their part to cover any of the costs. But they did ask for 15 days, which is what is in the actual documentation. It was then revised to, when they were all said and done, 20 days, which has been kind of the verbally accepted amount of time.
But it's not being approved.
The 15 days is signed off and approved,
Okay.
but you would have 5 days that you could contest. And I'll point out the same thing for that sewer storm pipe conflict that crossed the neighbor's property. The written documentation, 25 days has been approved.
And understand, the only reason I'm asking is because the only delay that I really knew about was in the beginning, because I knew you had to buy a certain pipe.
Right.
And there was all of that with, there were supply chain issues back then.
Right.
That we're not facing now. That's why I'm getting so granular on these. I wanna understand.
Yes,
Could we have done something different to avoid this? That's what I'm looking for.
right.
You know?
So the first one, the 42 days, there's nothing that you could have done differently. Nothing that
Exactly,
anybody
and
could have
I
done
understand
differently.
that one.
And it has to do with, like, the state of North Carolina says you need to do certain things before you can proceed with construction
Right.
to control erosion. And since on this project, we were placing a storm pipe across the street neighbors from the little stream all the way across 2 other neighbors to tie in, that pipe had to go in before absolutely
Yeah.
anything could be done. So that was coming out of COVID, and that is called RCP, reinforced concrete pipe. It was one of the items towards the end of COVID that had delays.
Yep.
The second delay that kind of got grouped with that one happened when they finally got that RCP pipe. They needed to start at this end to install towards the stream. So we got to these neighbors' houses, and keep in mind, so you hired a surveyor to provide a survey of like existing conditions. Surveyors can't do any deconstruction, like they can't dig to determine things, especially on other people's properties. So the 2 properties that were right there, we didn't know exactly elevation kind of situation. So when the contractor got there to start at this end, after waiting for this pipe to be delivered, they're digging the ditch to kind of explore, and they realized that the sewer line coming out of this one house came at such an elevation to tie into something at the street that the diameter of the storm pipe we had wouldn't fit underneath of it. So we went to an elliptical pipe, kind of flattened it out, made it wider, so it would fit under there and wait. And that was that's the one that was approved at 25 days, ended up taking 33 days.
Okay.
So, and that's another one, that was a totally unforeseen, we
And they're
couldn't have
gonna
known.
happen.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I get it. Those things are gonna happen. So
Yes.
what is your, confidence in March 19th? At this point, all honesty, everything that's open, everything you're pending, waiting, how do you feel about that?
They're admittedly, I don't know if they've gotten here since yet, admittedly, they've said they're not gonna hit March 19th. They're looking at a date sometime in April. They can talk to whether that's changing or not. All this does is this extends their contractual
Right.
date to March 19th. And then it puts them on the line for liquidated damages if you decide to impose them.
Okay.
I will say, okay, I don't have a relationship with Lyles other than we have no contract. They work directly for the town. I personally don't have a relationship with Lyles other than working with them through this
Sure.
project. I will say, through these delays, which has cost them like time also, they've not asked for any additional general conditions. So they could have asked for extra money to cover kind of like their in-house stuff also. So I would just say, use that to weigh on whether or not at some point you want to impose liquidated damages.
Yeah, and understand my questions are
Right.
not in, like, trying to get out of anything.
Yeah,
I just want a full understanding of what we're really looking at.
Right.
While you're here giving
Right.
this update.
yes.
Because I know you can't just run up here every time we have a meeting. So I'm just trying to get all the information I can out of you while you're standing there.
Yes, no, please ask any questions you have, so.
And I asked Gina today when we had a conversation this morning, is there anything that would have avoided where we are today? And I think she was, like she said to you, there's a couple of days here and there, but at the end of the day, we were gonna end up at this point. Am I correct in saying that?
You are correct in saying that. And if we had to come, last March or April, because when I did come here last year, I fully anticipated.
February is when it was.
Okay, I fully anticipated that we would be coming back in March or April to address this very issue. So it was just decided, it was like kicking the can down the road. I think it was just like, oh, we really want everybody to see more progress before we
that's
start
smart.
talking about this.
Because I
Yes.
would have had a ton more questions last March or April if you had been wanting to extend then.
Right, right. I understand. So,
The town inspector, do you know who that was?
it's not a town inspector, it's your special inspections company. So it's Catawba Valley. Yes,
Yeah.
they provide testing services, so. And this one's not costing you, I'm gonna put that out there. It's not costing you time, like your fee, because we're saying we're not gonna ask for additional services to cover the time for that. Because we don't want there to be this finger pointing of, well, your engineer said this and this engineer said that. So we're saying.
I was trying to get to the engineers.
I know, I understand. So, so we've backed that one out. We've said, okay, we're giving you that time. We're not gonna ask for additional services on that time for the very reason of, we don't wanna get into anything like that. So we're more willing to say, hey, we're absorbing the cost associated with that
I
delay.
didn't know if the county had any kind of inspection process involved in this or not.
No, it was totally the special inspections that's required by code for us to hire, that's kind of an independent to kind of check. So it was just them giving direction separate.
Has the construction company had a full crew on site, the majority of this construction project?
So Lyles is here, the contractor. I would have to defer that question to them. I don't want to speak for them on that one.
Speak? Yeah, so, I mean, we've been on site, as Gina alluded to, a lot of these delays, there were items that could have been done, during waiting on storm structures, pipe, things of that nature. We all continue to add our meetings, go through the submittal process, get as much of that material, shop drawings, all that stuff, in-house reviewed and approved during that time period. But yeah, outside of the, the normal occurrences of, overlapping trades and vendors and, folks demobilizing and, new vendors mobilizing on site to complete their task. Outside of that, the majority of it, yes, we've had full crews on site.
Is there anything from your point of view we could have done different? Or is this just, we just are where we are?
I mean, honestly, I've been doing construction for 19 years. This is kind of what it is.
So nothing's alarming you or anything like that?
No, there's different types of delivery methods where, if easements and surveys were in place at that time, further investigation could have been done of the utilities where the tie-ins and things like that happen. But in this type of scenario, we didn't want to. Yeah, we probably could have investigated that a little earlier, but we didn't want to start digging up residences and digging up, down to the street without knowing that we had the material on site to swiftly put it in, rather than just opening up a trench and putting it back and then, having to deal with all the runoff and the stormwater and things like that.
That makes sense.
I assume a lot of this construction work is subcontracted out?
Yes, we do self-perform some in-house, but, 85, 90% of our, of the scope of work is subcontracted.
Yeah. I travel up and down the main street fairly regularly. And the reason I was asking about full crews, I've seen in the last probably 2 weeks or more, what looks like a full crew, but, back in October-ish
Yep.
and around, basically all I've seen is 2 or 3 people on the job site.
Mhm.
And that's the reason I was asking, so I didn't know if that was due to subcontractors not coming in or exactly what. But literally, 2 and 3 people on the job site, maybe 4.
Yeah,
That I've seen, and I thought, wait a minute, something's wrong on this big of a project, you only got 4 people out there.
yeah.
And believe me, I have counted.
Yeah, no, it is, it's a large project. I would say over the past several months, most of the work has been concentrated inside the living quarters area. That is by far the most tedious work, with all the walls, kind of getting out of the ceiling, all the different layers of inspections, just to get out of the trusses to a point where we can start erecting walls. And then, once walls go up, it's plumbers, electricians, and things like that. They're all consolidated mainly to that living quarters area, not necessarily the apparatus bay or that small wing on the western side. A lot of the tedious work and a lot of the critical work is all involved with that living quarters area.
So I have a question. We've talked a lot about the number of days delayed and because of this, because of that. For me, that's water under the bridge. We can't go back and fix that. We're right here, right now. Maybe I've misunderstood, but when you contract a job for a cost. And if you go over the timeline, so be it. You have to negotiate that with your person, but the cost does not change. Any job I've ever worked or ever done projects, the cost does not change. You contract a job. Am I misunderstanding that? Because that's how I've always worked with contractors.
I was gonna ask, is that a question for ADW's contract with the town or Lyle's? I'll tell you, ADW's contract with the town, it's spelled out under the construction services that it is for a 14-month construction period. And honestly, we see, we do fire stations all over kind of a tri-state area. So 12 to 14 months is our average construction period. Yes, there are some that go above 14 months, but you know, there sometimes have to be extenuating circumstances. So it wasn't anticipated that it would go past that. So that's why what's in our contract is in there. As far as the construction contract, they are guaranteed, you know, the substantial completion, but there are means of extending that substantial completion date. You know, some have to do with changes, some have to do with the weather delays, and so forth. So that is pretty normal in the construction industry, that there are means of extending that substantial completion date. So,
Just a wild comment.
I'm
If
sorry.
we do not extend your contract over the 14 days, the construction, or the
14.
14 months, the construction company's on their own?
I mean, it's just the way that the contract's written is like for us to come do the site visits and so forth. I mean, it's just, honestly, as somebody providing professional services, it's our time. So it's like we would be doing it at a loss or for no fee at that point in time.
But
Which
taking
is-
in consideration the delays that has been approved, did that not go into your contract, extending that contract also?
We have factored some of that in, yes, which is why instead of us asking for fee as of December 5th, we're saying January 29th.
Okay.
So,
When you visited the site, I don't know how regular that was, did you not see that we were behind so much and start putting pressure on our good construction companies?
we have been asking about, yes, the schedule, so.
Asking about it or putting pressure that you're running behind, and why are you running behind?
I wouldn't say that there has been pressure applied because it was more of the,
Well, you're not the project manager, correct? Or you are?
for ADW, myself and John Cappers is the one that typically comes to the
Okay.
job site visits,
And
yes.
then does Lyle, do you guys have a project manager as well?
That is me.
Okay. I'm just trying to get the hierarchy here of,
Right, right. I have been coming to a lot of the OAC meetings. John Cappers comes to the OAC meetings, plus the meetings in between.
and
So,
then Luke, you're our project manager, correct? Okay.
yes, so it's just, there hasn't been, it's been, the delays that have been documented thus far, I mean, it's been like a, that's what I say, it's been like an accepted, it's done and we're moving on, and so there hasn't been the need to pressure for making up those past delays. For everything moving forward, we have expressed concern with them hitting even the current, like, substantial completion date scheduled for April. So, but I have no contractual way of, like, making them work faster.
But at the end of the day, I think for us, let's be real, and I'm not calling anybody out here, nobody, please take this personal, this is not a stab at anybody, but we have not really had good updates on this. So I think all of this is hitting us now like, huh, really?
Yeah.
What? Which is why we have so many questions. So obviously, this is my opinion, you know, I'm a project manager in the freight world. I don't want you taking over my projects because you don't know freight. And I don't think that we're in a place to take over professional services of construction because I'm not a construction project manager or an architectural project manager.
Right,
That's just the basis of where we are.
correct.
So my question is, in this fee that you're offering, or that you're laying out here, I think for us not to have this conversation again is some type of scheduled update on delays going forward, so from today forward. And I don't know if that comes from Luke, I don't know if it comes from you, I don't know, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know your name.
Down Hales.
Okay, I don't know which one of you guys it comes from, I don't know if it's a collaborative effort, I don't know, but I think, for me personally, as a council member, as a stakeholder in this project, I made the motion to hire ADW. So I take it a little personally, you know, because I feel like I stuck my neck out on the line for you guys. And you've done a great job. Please don't take that any other way than what it's meant. But I think going forward until this is completed, we're gonna have to have better updates on this. That's just how I see it. I mean, I know it sounds tedious, but we're crossing the finish line. You know, we've got a March 19th completion, probably not gonna hit it. People are gonna watch this video because it's recorded, it'll be on YouTube tomorrow. And I promise you, March 20th, one of us is gonna wanna know, one of us is getting a phone call, why is it not done? And I need something to tell me why. I need to know we're waiting on light fixtures. I need to know we're waiting on an inspection. I need to know that, you know, whatever the holdup is. Because you guys don't get the phone calls from the citizens, we do.
Right.
And when we approve money, we get asked why it costs more, and you know, so these are things, as an elected official, as a council member, I need this information. It's not me micromanaging. I'm a project manager, I don't wanna be micromanaged either. I get where you are, but I need answers as a stakeholder. And that's what I'm gonna have to ask for to approve this. And I'll let y'all figure out how we get that, but I think, you know, Ronnie's question about, you know, are we staffed fully? That's in your update. Hey, the flu ran through our crew this week, and instead of having 10, we had 6 because the flu hit. That happens, you know? It sounds trivial, maybe, from where you guys are sitting, but you don't understand. You guys probably do from being in Maiden a lot. People are watching that fire department. They are watching who's out there. They're watching how many cars pull up in the morning. They're watching what time you go to lunch, and they watch what time you quit work. I've noticed you've been working on Saturdays and Sundays. We gotta go to the grocery store. People notice. So I think as a board, we are gonna have to have better information so we don't have to have these conversations again.
So let me interject. We meet monthly. I have a really robust meeting with Dallin and Gina, the fire chief, and department staff. There's a lot of us in those meetings. We meet monthly. It's very productive. A lot of the stuff that has been discussed, I can probably summarize and send out, and that's on me to do, certainly not you or Lyles, I don't think. But we'll try to incorporate something after we meet. Free to send out.
I want to go back to the money. So you have told us March 19th, I mean, basically it's 49 more days that you're asking us to pay for, but you've told us that date's not going to be met on March 19th. It's going to come back more money then, correct?
That would be up to how the town wants to handle the situation with Lyles. So they would be on the line that March 19th if no other approved delays occurred for paying you liquidated damages if you chose to impose those upon them. So theoretically, they would be taking money out of their contract, refunding that money, which would be the amount needed to cover ADW's additional service fees. Unless you chose not to impose the liquidated damages, and then yes, it would be $7,500 a month. Just to cover kind of our costs for our services.
So it's pretty much gonna be $7,500 a month
3
till
months.
now, until we get the keys.
Yes,
So it
from
could be 4 months.
January
And it could be-
29th
It could
to
be a final
substantial.
inspection like we run into the fire department, or to the police department of, what, Tracy, 4 months?
Yeah.
4 months before we ever took occupation of that building because of some shoddy work. Guys, what's your realistic target date? Realistic target date?
So, I mean, we're looking to have everything down to, and y'all's furniture and equipment moved in towards the end of April. And we're looking to have that fire station operational in May. Y'all move in May, basically we're looking towards middle to late spring.
So we're talking sometime occupational, taking it over in sometime in May.
That's correct.
The
I mean, it-
contingency fund, how much are we covered in contingency fund for this $7,500?
And that's what I was gonna mention, we have some funds, that we discussed that in contingency.
I mean, it is what it is at this point.
Oh, we're, I hate to say it this way, but we're over a barrel. We're through the rock in a hard
That's
spot.
exactly how I feel. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm pressured back in a corner and I have no
We have,
options.
you know, we hate to lose our or our
Yeah.
architect,
Yeah.
but if we don't go with the month's, extension,
But I
we're
will
without
tell you,
architect.
this is hard for me because if this was my personal project, I wouldn't go for the extension. Now, this is a big deal here. This is not just like building a house or something. But if this was my personal project, I wouldn't do it. I'd walk. I mean, I'm just being honest.
That's,
Is there do you have a proposed amendment to contract for your services?
We do, you send that to us?
We have the one for the time for the construction. We did not do one yet for the architect
Right.
agreement because it was gonna just be a monthly rate. So we can do whatever you wanna do. We also did convey, because we have reduced it. It's 2/3 of like what we're invoicing right now. So we've cut the amount that we're asking for to just try and cover costs. Because we do want you all to be happy with your project and to be happy with the process. So we've also extended the timeout, but, we also conveyed if we need to stop invoicing at some point until you are kind of refunded some of the contingency money to pay for it out of that fund, we can do that as well. So,
Do we need to discuss extending that construction contract, or?
I think we need to look at both of them. What I would advise the council, I don't want y'all to feel like you're kind of backed into a corner tonight. You might want to vote to give the town manager authority to advise y'all and to negotiate once the contract amendments have been reviewed. That, you know, they're on a fairly short time limitation, but y'all shouldn't feel backed into a corner either to vote it up or down tonight. And might not wanna wait a month either.
But just, I was gonna say, just know that their services end the end of this month.
Yeah, so that was my suggestion, to give you that authority to.
Yeah.
we're
to
not
sign
gonna
off
just
on
stop
Sure.
working on the project. We don't have that kind of relationship with anybody, where we're just gonna stop. So it's just a matter of getting it resolved. But I would point out, the reason it might be hard to do an amendment, though, is because it's open-ended at this point.
You don't
You
know
know,
when it's-
I
you
don't
don't
know
know
when
it's
that
gonna be.
end date is, and it's not anything that's in my control. So,
But we can frame the language to do monthly if we had to.
Yeah.
correct.
I just couldn't advise the board the council to just kind of agree to some verbal thing that's.
Right. So,
I don't think we want to come back and do this again.
Definitely not.
So we, you'll say that one more time, so they.
So you need a motion, basically, us giving Tracy authority to keep us in the loop as he walks through these.
Right, and to have the authority to sign it on behalf of the town.
All right, so
On a
moved.
monthly basis.
Well, it doesn't have to be on a monthly basis, just, well, that's what they're
Well-
suggesting, yeah.
I don't think we want to put it, according to what you said, we don't really put it on a monthly basis, do we, right now? It's going to be open-ended.
well, it's monthly, but we're just
Yeah,
not saying
but-
how many months it
Right,
would
okay.
be.
Okay.
So,
That's what I'm looking at.
All right, so moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Carried unanimous.
And then sometime, at some point, we'll probably have to address the, construction side of that as well with Lyles. And Wesley, I'll get, if I can get updated stuff, which I think we got that the other day, I'll forward it to you just to make sure you got the updated version of everything.
Good
We
deal.
can go from there.
Sorry for all the questions.
oh, not at all.
Guys,
Totally, I'm
we've been
sorry.
kicking this can down the road for over 2.5 years.
Longer than that.
And that's the reason we're anxious.
And I
And
mean,
we
I
wanna
don't
get in
mean to
that
come
thing.
across as anyway, other than, I mean, I'm disappointed. I'm just, it is what it is. Will I get over it? I hope so. But, I mean, it's just, I'm disappointed and I'm disgusted.
Well-
I mean, that's just being, and I'm not wanting to direct that at anybody, but that's just where I'm sitting right now. And
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I didn't think you hit that date on, what was it, 12/5 to begin with? I didn't think that would be realistic to begin with.
Agreed, but I was really, really hopeful of early spring.
Yeah.
And now to hear that it's
May.
later spring, it's,
Occupation in May, provided everything passes our inspection. We don't run into a, like again, but guys, we ran into a problem with our police department, and we did not take occupation for 4 months till they got it resolved.
Do you know what the problem was? Maybe we can
Yeah,
try
it's a long
head it off.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Thank
thank
you.
you.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Not trying to be hard, just trying to do it. I hope you understand where we're coming from. You got it. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
You'll have a safe trip back to Charlotte.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to auditor contract approval. Anybody here for that?
I make a motion, we approve the audit contract.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion is carried unanimous. Okay, appointments. Yard of the Month Committee appointment. Tell us, Blake, you got us some.
Good evening, council. So for the Yard of the Month committee appointments, Teresa Mahoney and Trina Michael have both been names that have come up as appointments for this. So if it pleases the council, we can have those placed on, and they will begin in May.
you have 2 openings?
Yes, we do.
Two.
Mhm.
I like it, so you just need a motion.
Just need a motion to accept him too.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion is carried unanimous. Technical Advisory Committee appointment.
So this is for the Technical Advisory Committee, which serves the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is the Catawba County and the surrounding counties. It is our planning organization with NCDOT that prioritizes traffic improvements across our region. We need a representative to serve on this. Our current representative Councilmember for Rembert has indicated that he has a scheduling conflict on a lot of these dates. In your agenda packet is the dates for 2025. We'll need someone to serve on this board.
And you can do it remote, correct?
And you can do it remote.
Oh, you can do, the meetings are like Zoom or
Yes,
something?
ma'am.
Is that what you're saying?
Mhm. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Anybody want to jump forward on that?
I have an interest in it, but I teach on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, and the meetings are on Wednesdays. So it's gonna be hard for me
Well, you can
Oh,
teach
they're
them
at
what
2:30.
the meeting's
to
about.
Zoom or
Oh,
do any of it.
I thought that said 5:30 at
Yeah,
first.
5:30 would work for me.
Yeah, that's,
Can,
You don't do that right.
how,
can it be a joint?
I'm kinda like 4. I think I got a little conflicting dates in there.
No, them fish will wait on.
Yes, ma'am.
are they like an
Not one
hour
down there, they
long? Are
won't.
they 2 hours
They
long?
typically are an hour or less. It's very rare for it to run over an hour.
Okay,
Because the reason I say that is the technical, the TCC meeting, which is what I'm a part of, occurs directly before this, and it's the exact same agenda mirrored. So ours rarely run over an hour.
Could we do 2 people? That way if one can't do it.
I would honestly
Fill in.
have to ask Avery up at the COG to see if that's a possibility. But we can look at that as an option.
so I will agree to do it with the understanding that if it becomes too much, then
You have to pull.
I'll come back to you and pull out, and maybe 4 will be freed up or something by then.
Holly, you wanna switch on the Western Piedmont Council of Government thing, and I'll take the that, and you be the alternate on that, since you're gonna do this?
Well, I really like the COG meetings.
Both of us can go to that when we're available. But I'm just, I hope you know where I'm coming from on that.
I
you know?
do.
Yeah.
I do.
And if they're willing to take two, there may be some Wednesdays I can make it work.
Maybe we should let him ask if we could do that first, because then, you or Ronnie, me and you,
I
somebody.
mean, there would be some I may can make it work, but it's gonna be a lot that I can, and I don't wanna commit to something that I'm not gonna be able to do.
And that's why I'm hesitant, because I travel a lot, and I may, I mean,
You don't never know when.
if they say you're going to Ohio, I'm in Ohio, and it just is what it is.
Okay, so you could check,
Um,
or does it need?
Can I ask Wesley a question on this one? So there is an ethics and a non-conflict that needs to be done typically before, I think it's the second week in February. Is it possible for us to make a motion nominating 2 names and then they're able to get that done versus potentially running into February with that and then not being able to
No, we can do
complete
two
this?
names.
Okay.
Is that an online assignment?
Yeah, it's typically something that can be done online and submitted.
Well, I don't mind doing it, just whether it'll be 2 or not. You understand what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
I don't know if it's something that's a cost or it's just something they send out. I don't
Yeah.
mind going ahead and doing the assignment.
They wouldn't be able to take in that name
Oh, I
if you weren't
gotcha.
appointed tonight,
I
was
gotcha.
my point.
I gotcha.
Mhm. Good. If y'all are good with that?
You good?
Yep,
You good, we good.
okay.
All right, you might as well stay up there, we got the rec advisory committee appointment.
And the motion is for Councilmember
I
Rudisell
didn't hear
and
the
Crafton?
motion. Was there a motion for the?
We-
what-
Oh, we
No,
didn't
for them
make
too.
one.
Okay.
On what,
I don't know that we fully decided.
Just to go ahead and name y'all 2, and then, is that what you're talking
yeah,
about, Blake?
see if Holly and I could do it together, but provided one of us attend,
Sure,
Yeah.
not 2 of us come.
right,
We'll
exactly.
coordinate
Yes, ma'am.
who's doing what, depending on our schedules.
I'm okay with that.
Are you okay? with
Absolutely.
that? Okay.
Okay, I need a motion.
I make a motion.
Second. Second, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. You got it.
No, thank you.
All right. Recreation Advisory Board appointment.
So, same process, I have a volunteer, Anna Curry. This is basically filling a spot that, came up this year.
Okay, you want a motion? Make a motion that we
Give
accept
up.
Anna.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion is carried unanimous. Okay. Now we're going into public hearing for rezoning of Withers Road, ZMA 1-2025.
Council, before you then tonight is a rezoning request for 2084 Withers Road. This is a rezoning request to go from R20, which is our very low-density residential, to C2, which is our general commercial. Withers Road is outside of town limits, and it is located in our extraterritorial jurisdiction. The property is just under 1 acre. The surrounding zoning is also R20. The reason for the request is that the applicant is interested in developing the site for an outdoor event venue. They're interested in potentially holding weddings or gatherings on that site under R20 that is not an accepted use. So for them to be able to use the property in this manner, they would have to have it rezoned. With that being said, the other potential uses for this, besides an outdoor event, if this was approved, would also be any kind of commercial use on that property or an office space. We did ask the applicant if they would be interested in using that property for residential, potentially to sell the property if someone wanted to build a house on it. They indicated that that was a former home place, that has been in the family for several years. And they have had events in their family on that site before, and they want others to be able to use it in that manner. If money is being made on that site, they really can't use it in that manner without it being rezoned, even if it's like once or twice a year. It would fall under a non-conforming use. For the standards that the board, the council is required to consider, the long-range plan shows this area as remaining low-density residential. This would be consistent with federal, state laws and regulations. Whether or not the town and responsible agencies can supply this rezoning, the town of Maiden, since this is outside of our town limits, zoning services is really the only thing that we would be doing here, as well as fire control. Anything regarding sanitary sewer, water would run through Catawba County Environmental Health. And they would have to use the sheriff's department for any kind of emergency services for police. The last is whether or not it's beneficial to the public health, safety, welfare, and in the public interest. The proposed amendment would allow for use that could potentially impact the property and the surrounding area with an increase in traffic on this lot. I'll take any questions at this time.
And this went before the planning board?
This did go before the planning board, thank you. The planning board recommended unanimous denial for this.
What was the reason? Can you tell?
The reasoning that they had was that at this point, the applicant did not indicate that they were going to build anything on this lot. They had not indicated what the costs might be involved, or that there would going to be any kind of separation of uses for screening for those temporary events.
And what's the increase that you received? What's been the concern?
Then I've received several calls from neighbors that have indicated that they did not necessarily want it. One, because of the increased traffic on certain days, but also the possibility that this property could be sold at some point in the future to the heirs of this. And if they did not put an outdoor event space or an event venue on here, that it could potentially be used for an office space or a car lot or something else on that lot, because the C2 designation would run with the property.
And that's the only designation that would work for what they're
Yes,
applying
ma'am, that or manufacturing.
So their intention is to have like a venue you rent out, or is it to create a venue for their family to have?
That they would be able to rent out. If they did it for their family currently, that's within the family, they're not making money off the property, so they could do it as it stands, there's no issue there.
Are there any public restroom facilities there?
No, they have recommended that they would be using porta johns on site.
Any more questions for Blake?
I'll make a motion, we go with the recommendation of the planning board and disapprove this and leave it at R20.
We can't do that yet. We got to close the public hearing first.
Beg pardon?
We got to close the public hearing first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Public hearing is now closed.
Wait, she has her hand, I think.
Oh, she wants to speak.
She wants to speak.
Are you saying that you're gonna deny the passage of the commercial use of that property?
Getting ready to find out just 1 second. As soon as they take a vote.
I was just gonna interject, we live across the street, and, one of the reasons that we moved to this area is we loved how rural it is, and the idea that we could, family gatherings are totally awesome, and we appreciate that, but something that could potentially be more commercial than that is kind of scary to us. We have, 15 acres across the street, and I have 3 kids that I was hoping we could maybe divvy up that land, and they would eventually buy
Now, Ron,
I'd like to make a motion that we go with the planning board's recommendation of disapproving that and leaving it zone as R20.
have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion is carried unanimous. Ordinance 15-2025, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget in the water fund.
Hello. This is just a budget amendment. We took more scrap water meters, or we took more old water meters for scrap. So this is just to bring in $367.50 and apply it to the water and sewer expense lines.
I move that we approve ordinance 15-2025.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Motion is carried unanimous. Ordinance 16-2025, ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget in the general fund.
This is the yearly donation that Lawrence Lumber gives to the Maiden Police Department for the purchase of gift cards to be distributed to full-time Maiden police personnel. It's for $1,500 to bring in and then for the police department to spend.
I move we approve ordinance 16-2025.
Have a motion,
Second.
a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Motion is carried unanimous. Now we need a motion to go into closed session.
Hey, wait a minute. We didn't do anything with the position to pay classification study, did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the consent
That's the
agenda.
consent agenda.
Oh, okay, all right.
I move we go into closed session.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. We're going into closed session.
Yes. Just declare it back open.
Just need a motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carried unanimous.
And you need a motion to, where's that on the agenda?
Number 13A.
So I move that we complete the acquisition of the property.
Have a motion?
Second.
Take the amount.
Because we got it all in the.
Okay. Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion's carried unanimous.
I move we adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn?
I'll second that too.
Got a second? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. We are adjourned.
Bye then.